if I was my fully authentic, dysregulated, cuckoo, insane in the membrane, walking around the Springs Lake last night with a 10 kilogram weighted vest, because apparently that's the thing I need to do now, sobbing my heart out for an hour, massively emotionally dysregulated, exhausted, overwrought. Okay, well, how did I get there?
From kitchen dancing to meditation retreats, Hibo Osman is a self-proclaimed, ethnically ambiguous chaos coordinator. She's a HR rebel and living proof that sparkle, sleep hygiene, and self-compassion can actually coexist. Hi, and welcome back to Fast Brain Women, a podcast for women with ADHD, by women with ADHD, aka total chaos, completely winging it. Expect lots of interruptions and revelations. I'm your host, Danny, and here we have Lorna with us too, and our amazing guest today, Hibo. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, how are you here?
I found myself in this podcast because Lauren and I have known each other for a very long time. And I was recently labeled with ADHD, and it was really funny because everyone I knew was like, oh yeah, duh.
Let me tell you about my first memories of Hibo. It's not bad.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that to you. So Hibo was at the time looking after mass onboarding at the hospital that I was joining. So this was 2014. So yeah, a few years ago now. And do you know what? I'm having a revelation right now. I think you were one of the reasons that I eventually turned to HR, because I saw you love what you were doing. You brought such energy. The onboarding process really sets the tone for workplace culture, which is ultimately where I've ended up now. And you were just so memorable, that energy you had. And it was Ramadan, so you would have been fasting, right?
Oh, yeah.
You brought it. Yeah. And, probably powered by ADHD, but it's also part of what makes you sparkle. It all sort of weaves together into this beautiful story that is Hibo. So, yeah, you left a lasting impression on me. And sorry to just lay all that. I know after this amount of time, we don't talk about these sort of first moments, do we? But yeah, thinking back to it, yeah, I guess it was kind of obvious because you just shone so brightly.
Yeah. We gotta do that, right? We do sparkle.
Depends what day it is. I'm not sure. Not everyone is going to be able to see me, but I'm wearing the glitter today. I often do that to, rally myself.
Yes.
Dopamine dressing. There's an episode that we can do one time.
Oh my God, I could definitely participate in that. I joke at work saying that one day you're not going to be able to tell how I feel by how I'm dressed. But today's not that day. And often how I dress is a direct reflection of either how I'm feeling or how I'm trying to feel.
Yes.
I like that.
So what does the blue represent?
For me, I'm feeling bright.
Okay.
I'm feeling light, feeling a little electric.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
This colour of blue, for anyone who can't see, is sort of royal blue, would you say? Electric blue?
And matching trousers.
Am I allowed to show my trousers as well?
I know. The colour blocking is real. This is my power colour.
Yes.
When I want to feel powerful, this is the colour I go to.
Okay. Red is my power colour, and it's very obvious, and people will know when I wear red, I mean business.
Ooh,
yeah.
I
I
like
should do that with lipstick. That's like, if I've got red lipstick on, watch out. There's going to be stuff going down.
And today you've got a pinkish gloss on. What does that say about your mood?
That says that I left the house in a rush at 6:10 this morning, and this was in my golf bag. And that's what was available to me. Yes. So this is where I was at. There was no dopamine. It was literally what was.
Some days are survival. Some days are...
I love that. Thrival.
Yes, I was trying to rhyme. You sensed that. I love that you tried to get me there. There's no getting me there.
Survival and thrival, yeah.
So I'm quite intrigued. So this is a recent revelation. So talk to me a little bit about little Hibo. And was there any signs or anything you kind of remember from, growing up of what that was like?
Oh, yes. That was actually the hardest part of the labeling, so to speak. I think as an adult, I've been really lucky, and we'll probably talk about all of the things I do to survive and thrive. But as a child, I didn't have any of that stuff. I had life. I had my parents who stuck up for me a lot with regards to some of the stuff I'm going to describe. And I also had, just growing up as a, ethnically ambiguous kid in sunny Manchester and Abu Dhabi. And I was really challenged at school. School was a very... if you read all of my report cards, and I don't think they've changed even now with some of the bosses I've had, which is, Hibo's great, she has so much potential, but if only she would sit still, if only she would stop talking. And I have a few stories. Some of them are quite sweet. Some of them certainly... It's weird. I remember once I got the label, I had like a 24-hour kind of like a moment of like grieving for little Hibo. So there's two stories I'd like to tell. So there's the story of me at 8 years old. It's 1988. Do the maths. So it's 1988, and my parents have got 4 young children under the age of 5.
God bless them.
And the education system, I suppose, in the UAE at that time was probably considered not to be amazing. And I had my grandparents back in Manchester who were like, come, send Hibo to us. So I got sent off to a posh private school in Manchester, and I spent 2 years there. And I remember my mum saying that she got pulled into school one day because I'd gotten into trouble. I did exactly what you caught me doing then, which is rocking on my chair. And it turns out I'd rocked on my chair so much, I'd rubbed a hole in the linoleum.
The lino. The lino. Nobody says the lino anymore, do they?
Exactly. The linoleum. I can't even say it anymore. The lino, exactly. No, darling, it was a private school. We said linoleum.
Okay.
And I guess, there's 2 parts to that story. The story that my mum tells is, I told them that you were bored. You'd worked your way through all of the workbooks. You'd kind of excelled so far, and you were bored. And the other part of it was them responding, saying, well, she's done everything. She should just work at the pace of everybody else. So it was really good to hear about my mum sticking up for me in that way. But it's also a little bit sad that this little Hibo, who's just shining so bright, who's just...
Lots of clicking going on. That's how it feels sometimes.
Oh God, yeah. This is it.
Around.
This is it. I live my life on a 1.75. That's that kind of, yeah. And sometimes it's a times 2, but most of the time it's times 1.75. So that was kind of a cute story. But I remember really a sad story that really touches me now, and it perhaps comes up now when I'm kind of in my lower self. I have a higher self and a lower self. So I come from a mixed background. I've got Somali, African, Yemeni, Arab, and English white. So I've got all 3 all mixed together, and this has somehow got to create a person that's navigating life. And I remember sitting with my very English grandmother, and she used to time me to sit still. And I remember desperately trying to sit still, because it was only 5 minutes. Even now it makes my skin crawl, and it makes me tear up a lot, because I think I was so young and I was so wanted to do it, and it shouldn't have been so hard, but it was so hard to do, and I never did it. So that's little Hibo. So little Hibo definitely needs a lot of love. Yeah. But also I think my mum's hyperactive. She's always on the go. And I think that we just live in a very hyper family. There's always something on. There's always speed, fast. Everything's always going on. And there's 55 conversations all happening at the same time. And I think I just didn't know anything else. Or I think because I had all the different experiences of being raised by lots of different people, I come from, a multi-generational household. So, there were lots of people involved in my upbringing. It wasn't like this little nuclear family. And it had lots of different influences. And I think just generally as a girl, people don't expect you to be fidgety. To this day, I'm fidgety. I think I could have done with perhaps maybe being introduced to more sports when I was younger. That's definitely one of the necessary tools for my survival now as an adult. But I think as a child, I think if I'd been given access to like lots of physical activities, we did a lot of swimming, that helped a lot. But I mean, can you imagine swimming, public baths?
Yeah, it's kind of grim.
On the bus.
We're all from sort of the same part of the UK, so we relate back to that very
Wet
visceral
curly hair.
reaction.
Oh. Plasters floating past.
Veruca socks.
Veruca socks.
This has gone down a very dark hole that nobody wanted to explore, me included.
But I think that was the point. I think I'm lucky that in the summers that's what we would do. But I think I could probably, if I look back as a child, I needed an outlet for this energy and I didn't necessarily have one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's little Hibo.
So these outlets, tell me a little bit more about those. Like, what are those outlets now?
Okay, so we'll talk about my very regimented life, shall we?
You find that sometimes that people with ADHD will be incredibly organized as a coping mechanism. It's like they have to structure their life to the nth degree to... Yeah, okay, Hibo's nodding wildly. Tell us more, Hibo.
And it's not only just structure. The structure is one thing, but what happens when that structure falls apart is another thing altogether. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how it works. So what works is I create these habits and I do them a few days, weeks, months in a row. And I tend to just repeatedly do them. So there's a couple of things. And it kind of all came about naturally. I think I first thing that happened to me is I realized that me and sleep, we are so like
Soulmates.
Yeah.
there is a direct impact in how I move through my day and how I see myself in the world and how well I've slept. So I have an incredible amount of sleep hygiene. I don't sleep with my phone in the room with me. I've got blackout curtains. I stop caffeine at midday. What else do I do? There's so much. I have a sleep jumper.
Sleep jumper.
A sleep jumper. Yeah. It's a jumper that I sleep in and it's very nice and soft and fuzzy and it feels really good. And there's loads of stuff that I do, but sleep hygiene is perhaps the foundations. For me, I guess maybe this is the thing that I think is important to note. My feelings are visceral. They're not just thoughts in my head, they're feelings in my body. So when I am tired, it's obvious to everybody. And today is a perfect example. I was working till late last night, didn't get to sleep till 11 o'clock this morning, set my alarm for 6 a.m., up by 5:30, of course. And it's been a long day. So I hit a wall. And people just looked at me and said, "Oh, Hibo, you look tired." And I was like, "Do I?" It's like, "Yeah." And it's not that I look tired. It's like
your energy's tired.
Yeah, the light has dimmed. Do you know what I mean? So I'm wearing electric blue, but is it really? It's more like sky blue. It just the light dims. And it's obvious to everybody and everybody notices it. So it wasn't just me, but people were noticing that light dimming. So
I've never heard it explain that though. I think you have really kind of summed something up there about, you know, the transparency of, you know, really the boundary almost between the brain, the thoughts and the person that can, you know, it's like, oh, she wears a heart on her sleeve, or what you see is what you get, you know. So when people are describing you, it's just like, I can't keep it inside.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, yes.
It's not a choice.
Yes. You know, it's interesting. And it's I've been on a bit of a journey when it comes to energy because I feel like, you know, people have always my mum's been really good about it. But people have always said to me, Hibo, your energy's big. You've got big energy. You take, you know, and it's always been, again, depending on how well I've slept and how well fed I am, that relationship between how I see that and how I see myself.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that a compliment or is that
Okay, I'll give you a simple example. Like, so I've got my bright colours on, right? So in the UK, when I wear bright colours, like, oh, you're looking bright today. So, okay, and then it just becomes, okay, well, you know, I guess bright colours are just not the done thing in Manchester, you know, in the NHS. Okay, so let's fast forward to me moving to Malaysia, where I worked for a couple of years. Oh, Hibo, you've got some bright colours on today. Same words, completely different energy. So when people say to me, oh, Hibo, you take up energy, you take up... Now I've heard it referred to as you take up space, and people love that.
I feel like you give energy.
Beautiful.
Your energy is a gift.
Yeah.
And that might also be a responsibility sometimes, that people are looking at you expecting you to bring the energy because you're always so energetic that when you're not, people are like, where's...
Oh, you hit
It's
the
a
nail on the
double-edged
head.
sword.
You hit the nail on the head. You're right. So you're right. I don't take up energy, but I give, like, there's this whole energy about me when I move into rooms. And I'm going off tangent, can I?
Mate, this is what the whole thing's about, right?
We're with energy. So let's talk about energy. So energy, like I said, my relationship to energy has been an interesting one. So you've got big energy, and, you know, it was always like, oh, you need to, you know, like that scene from Friends where Ross is like, you know, people want me to adjust it, attenuate it. And it became a very like, there's something wrong with me. I'm not like other people. I need to be less. And I don't understand what that means. I don't know how to be less. I just know how to be myself. But over time, I've started to be comfortable with that energy and recognize that it is a gift and own it more. And what I found happened once I started to accept, and you can even see it in my body language, can't you? The shoulders go up, the neck goes up. And as soon as I started, and the shoulders are a big part of it, and as soon as I started to own that energy and accept it and respect it, it stopped becoming so erratic.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm having such a light bulb moment here because managing energy is, now I think about it, such a constant theme for me. I don't have the dial turned up anywhere as near, but, you know, people, I can come across as very bubbly, almost extroverted to a lot of people. People look at me, but then, you know, like a lot of what we call now ambiverts, you go away and you're like, bloody hell, I need to recharge my batteries for 2 days. I think it takes me a bit longer than you and probably a bit more sleep, but it's a constant battle with energy to get through work, to get through life. And I think I work very hard at masking as well. And I think that's something beautiful about you, is that the authenticity is there and I'm on that journey still. And I think there's something in that UK culture where they expect you to be samey, fit in, don't stand out. Those were very much the messages I had. And I'm unlearning that, particularly, you know, I've been in the UAE for 13 years. It's been increasing, but with the diagnosis of ADHD, I'm like, oh, that's why I feel different. And now I can embrace that as part of my identity and really embrace the ways of like dressing and stuff, and even talking here on this podcast unfiltered as much as possible. Energy management, it's such a big thing. I mean, how does that resonate with you, Danny?
Well, I think if you're, well, first of all, I think being different is, well, depends on how you grew up. It can just ostracize. I got bullied heavily. So then when I think about being different and, you know, straying in same, you know, I have vivid memories of how that really negatively impacted me. So, yeah, similar on the authenticity journey.
It's also a survival mechanism, because the masking for me is also like making sure that I'm paying attention. So, you know, I notice when I'm tired at work, going back to the sleep thing, if I'm tired, I'm finding it very hard to sit still and, you know, listen in meetings and things. And I'm like fighting myself. Like you were saying, you're really fighting so hard. That fight becomes so much harder. And those are the masking things that actually help us blend in a bit to society. So it's always hard to know how far to go with the unmasking, isn't it? Because some of these things, you have to conform to the, you know, the society that isn't necessarily designed for us.
Oh, I don't know. I'm feeling so rebellious at the moment that I literally don't care some days, where I'm like, just deal with it, people. Because I think that's part of the problem, right? But wearing my heart on my sleeve, having a big energy, like it doesn't work for most employers, unfortunately. So we have to carve our path. We have to be rebellious and authentic, because I don't think I've got another option. I've got no plan B at the moment. So,
I mean, it's an interesting one. I think the masking one is an interesting one, isn't it? Because I don't know. I understand that the term has come about as a way to help people understand the two ways of being. But I think that all of us have to, you know, I mean, being a person of color, like in England, they talk a little bit about code switching. So, you know, you change according to who you're with. And I've had so many people get really shocked when they meet me because they think I'm going to be an old white lady. Well, now I'm just an old black lady. But back in when I was in my 20s, people would be really surprised because my voice and the way I speak doesn't always match how I appear. So I feel like navigating this world with different ways of being can help, and it may be accepting the different ways of being instead of forcing yourself. Because I think sometimes if I was my fully authentic, dysregulated, cuckoo, insane in the membrane, walking around the Springs Lake last night with a 10 kilogram weighted vest, because apparently that's the thing I need to do now, sobbing my heart out for an hour, massively emotionally dysregulated, exhausted, overwrought, okay, well, how did I get there? Lots of different things happened to get me there, but I've stopped fighting that so much.
It sounds like you're adding regulation by allowing yourself to feel the full spectrum of emotions.
Beautiful.
At a time that it fits.
Beautiful. Yes. Yes, I accept that 100%. So feeling that energy, like, oh my gosh, I'm getting really upset. What am I going to do? Wash my face. I prayed. I brushed my teeth. Put the weighted vest on. Get out there. Okay, come back. 11 o'clock. Okay. So
Therapy.
Lots of sounds there.
We knew exactly what you mean.
Very few words, but I hope that it was clear about energy management and kind of that really. And there wasn't any need for me to mask there, but there was definitely a need for me to recognize that I'm having an experience.
And there's times and places. So, okay, if anyone is walking around the Springs and sees a lady in a weighted vest,
pretending to talk on the phone, but not actually talking on the phone.
This is a coping techniques right here. You heard it first.
All the tips.
However, in the board meeting,
and
that was like one of my core work mishap memories, taking something very personally about creative that was presented and just not being able to stop the tears. My boss being like, you can't do that. That's not appropriate. And I'm like, yeah, get you. I just, I can't put them back in my eyes. I can't
tell you how many times I've cried in the wrong situations. I wasn't sure if that's just a personality type thing. Do you think that is linked to ADHD?
You've got me thinking about this now.
I cry a lot. I cry multiple times a day. Therapeutically, accidentally, on purposely. I will find, like, I don't know, again, adding on to that, like I will sometimes purposely watch horrific content.
Like it's you getting out in a controlled environment. Like you're like, I'm going to decide that this isn't going to come out in a boardroom. This is going to come out at a time that is convenient to me. So you're pushing that button. Oh, I love it.
Gotta get it out.
We're going to take just a quick ADHD-friendly pause. And if you're listening to this while multitasking, then this is most definitely for you, so listen up. The Endel app is honestly my secret weapon to getting things done. It's a sound wellness app that creates these personalized soundscapes designed to help your brain do what it's meant to be doing in that moment. I use it every single day, and whether I'm locking in, focusing, or just wanting to fall asleep at a human hour, it's Endel that gets me there. These guys are such big supporters of the ADHD community, and they're giving you a whole month to try it for free. So you can find the link in the description, or send us a DM wherever on our socials if you can't find it, and we will send it to you. And if you got distracted along the way, even during this little short break, we have gifted you a lovely 5-minute relaxing soundscape from Endel at the end of this episode. So stick around and enjoy.
So, I think it's interesting. I want to reflect a little bit on, we're calling it corporate, but actually we'll call it professional life, because the first part of my life, actually, I was a hospital pharmacist. So I was a very acceptable hospital pharmacist. I really didn't enjoy it at all. What I enjoyed the most was interacting with people. And I'm really lucky that my career took me in a way such that I was able to start teaching. I was like, oh my God, I found my thing. But the point I think about who I was and my personality through this journey, it took some time for me to find a role that worked for who I was. So moving into teaching was and then once I found learning and development, I was like, oh, okay, so now this gives me an opportunity to do the two things that I think I'm quite good at. People will accept a brightly shining L&D person more than I think they'll accept a brightly shining hospital pharmacist.
You're right.
I think I don't know if we've talked about this on another episode, but that concept of, like, again, you're at high school, you've got to choose what you want to be when you grow up. You're like, I don't even know who I am.
Engineer, lawyer,
Accountant.
teacher, nurse, accountant. You know, these very,
Groupies.
So these are the tips I tell young girls. First of all, you know what? You're doing well in school. Good job. Nobody cares. Nobody cares, mate. So you're back from your break on time and you didn't get any detention and you got all the top grades at school. You followed the rules. Yay. The boys, oh, troublemakers. Oh, trouble. Oh, they don't sit still, do they? Oh, you know what boys are like. Yeah. You know. But, we've come to the workplace and who's doing better than the girls? The boys. Why is that? Because they're troublemakers. Whatever kind of social construct, whatever rules there are in the workplace about how you behave, girls work really hard to follow them and they're expected to. But if men want to talk over each other in meetings, no problem. If women do it, she's a bit aggressive, isn't she? So there's all of these behaviors that I encourage young girls to understand that they put all this pressure on themselves to get it right. Yeah. But you know what? You got plenty of chances to get it right. So you get it wrong this time. There'll be another time. That resilience is perhaps one of the most important skills that I think I learned really early. Was just to keep. I constantly fail. I tell people this all the time. They look at me and they're like, "Oh, but you're so confident." I'm like, "Yeah, because I've messed up a lot and I'm still here."
Yeah.
Tell me about the clearing thing, because you were clearly very gifted. You know, that was coming through. You were finishing your work early. And then clearing is normally when you don't get the grades that you want for the university that you go to.
Oh, she's caught me out.
Busted.
I was a very average student in terms of my grades. I got a B and 2 C's in my A levels. For people, I don't even know what the equivalent of that nowadays is. But a B and 2 C's is not going to get you into pharmacy. But
combine that with a bit of evil sparkle.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't that naughty, really. If you look at it on, 14-year-olds get pregnant in Bolton, 14-year-old Hibo, reading Bills and Boons in the toilets because she was bored in class. Oh, I was bored, eh? Very different story. So, so as a result, I just would rally in the few weeks or months, and I rallied hard. And I was able to get the same kind of grades of people that perhaps didn't have to really created more structure around their life. So those grades that I got were the grades that I got because I rallied hard for 2 weeks before the A-level exams. I got on the phone with the admissions tutor and was like, here's what we're going to do. Here's my choices. I can come in and I did some pharmacy sciences, not the same thing. I can come and do this, or I can take a year off and resit my A-levels, or I can take a year off and go on a gap year and go to Somaliland, to East Africa, where my father's from, have a whole bunch of life lessons and come back and do pharmacy. He said, you take that year off.
Aww.
See you in a year. And that was a really transitional point for me, that going to Somaliland, and that's a whole other story. Maybe when you do a session on multi-ethnic
women.
Ethnically ambiguous, culturally confused women, we can talk about that one. But coming back to the point of clearing, yeah. So, and by the way, that's been the theme for me throughout my childhood, just being able to. They call it the Hibo Hustle. And my family have branded it as the Hibo Hustle.
We need to trademark that immediately.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And it feels really. Can you see me? I've gone small, haven't I? Yeah, gone small. The Hibo Hustle sounds like It's just when I've lost it. I don't have words for it.
So pulling it out the bag?
Yeah, it's I'm able to, and then I say this because I think I'm hesitating because my saboteur is saying, oh, is it manipulation? But it genuinely isn't. I really like people. I like talking to them. I think they're interesting. They're fascinating. And because I like people and it's genuine, I'm often able to have things happen.
You're influential.
Yes. Influence. Yes.
You're the original influencer who doesn't use Instagram.
No, I'm not on social media. A little bit of LinkedIn here and there, but no social media for me.
I'm so glad you did, because I don't know if we'd stayed in touch had we not had LinkedIn.
True story. I like LinkedIn. I like it. It's,
You're not a LinkedIn fan, are you?
No, I do it because it's expected of me, but maybe that's why.
Who's expecting it of you?
I don't know. I just think it's one of those things that if you are a person doing stuff, that's where you've got to put it.
Can we talk about this?
Yeah.
Because I use LinkedIn in a very different way, I think, to maybe people expect me to. So sticking with the theme of authenticity, and we're going to use that in a positive manner. I have a different view of authenticity sometimes. But when it comes to being authentic, for me, the reason I'm not on social media is because my intentions get blurry. So, there's an Arabic phrase that says, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, which means that your actions are judged and rewarded by their intentions. So I have a couple of rules around the way that I present information. So first of all, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to tell you how great everything is. Okay, good. That's definitely not what I'm not going to do. But I am going to try to show that even when things are really bad, there's learning from it. So I often use my LinkedIn posts as an opportunity to process difficulties or challenges that I'm facing. How is Hibo navigating this challenge, and what could help other people do that? So what's the challenge? Could be anything from conversations to ways of working to whatever. How is Hibo navigating it? I give some kind of insights about things. And then I might reference a book, because despite my ADHD, I love to read, or an article that I've read. And it's been working out quite well.
I think there's just so much that distracts me on LinkedIn that people are very proud to announce.
Oh, yes. Golden visa holder. Sorry. They don't do that so much anymore. You might have to cut that. But it used to be a thing that people would put on their LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I got a couple of my qualifications and accreditations on there.
I mean, well deserved, and it's all about taking up the space that you have quite rightly earned. So yeah, own it. But golden visa holder is not. It was issued originally as a recognition for contributions to the country, whereas now it's
no.
Do you earn enough?
or have you got enough patience to go through the process?
Yes.
So yeah, God bless those people.
My gosh, my husband's just been through it. It's taken like 18 months.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Less we say about that, the better. Let's moving swiftly on.
Anyway. Fast-brained women.
Yeah, this is where we're at.
We're going to have to bring it into land, girls. What's the topic? Well, I'll tell you what the topic is.
Yes.
In the true spirit of just taking it all over the place, the AI piece, that was another piece that was inspired by as we came in.
We're talking about managing.
You're both using AI to
live.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
Human plus AI. AI assisted from my head to my toe.
Yes. Technology assisted, but now AI very much so.
Tell me more. Let's make this practical. I need tips.
Okay. So if I were to talk about Charlie, as I call my ChatGPT account, which is interesting because I don't use Siri. I say too much. I don't want her to listen to me. But ChatGPT, I have a paid account and I have multiple projects. Can I list to you some of the projects?
Please do.
One is physical health. I've got my AI-assisted therapy. And I talk to my therapist about it. So I go to therapy. I've been going to therapy nearly every week for nearly 2 years now. And I'll be like, the instructions on this project are act as an expert in this, help me see what works for me, and help me identify what the positive aspects, and I put in some instructions. Okay, great. And then I'll come, that's me dysregulated. And then I'll come back. I do have words. I know words. I have words, but sometimes the sounds work. So then I come back to it when I'm not dysregulated, and I look back at it, and it's just so, she speaks to me really nicely.
Yeah, I think a big clarity. It just helps, I think, in the noises, whatever's kind of going on, just to kind of throw things out. And I do find it's a lot more. So before I would journal, I would write things down, and now I can speak into it, which I really like, and I can type into it, and just the organization. I think that helps.
What AI has done for me is that it's ramped up my productivity to the next level. Now, its content isn't perfect, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done to make it make sense, but it gives me something to start to work with, and then I take it from there, and then I go and work on it, and it's done. The time it would have taken, oh my gosh, this is like, I feel this really strongly. God, my body's in it. The time it would have taken. So I'll give you an example. I was working on a presentation last night. And honest to God, if I'd left to my own devices, it would have taken me 2 weeks. I just didn't have the 2 weeks to do it. So I just sat down, and please, I want to just add, what did I do to sit down? So I sat down and I took my Bacopa. I took my mushrooms, Maine. I listened to my white noise. I had my decaffeinated coffee. I had my water with my electrolytes there.
You're so pure. You're making me sick right now, honestly.
These are all the things that hold me up. And without one of them, the whole thing collapses. I did all of these things, and I put my phone, and I've got this app, this thing called Brick. I mean, God, I should write. You could do a whole list of all these things that I do to be able to just get through it.
I see a book coming soon, the Hibo Hustle 101 ways to live like Hibo.
Don't.
House of Cards.
It's exhausting. Anyway, I got it done within an hour and a half, the kind of stuff that it wasn't perfect, and that's okay. But I had something on a piece of paper on the screen that I can now work with by myself. Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's that starting point sometimes.
Yes.
So like, again, the blank page-itis of it just like looking at you and the guilt and the shame and
yes, the shame.
And then it just gives you those like starting blocks. Highly recommend, 5 stars.
Yeah.
The way I'm using it right now, be honest, I'm using the free account.
Okay.
So it's just like a list of different conversations, generally work related. Yeah. But it sounds like you can organize things into projects, and like the paid version might be. I'm always like this. New journal will change my life. And now, like, ChatGPT paid is going to be the secret key.
I think you can even do it with an unpaid account. I think it's really advanced. But I think the point is, like you said, it's one that gives you something to work with.
It's another crutch. It's another tool.
I nearly use crutch and I stopped myself
because it's a bad thing.
I feel like crutch. But like, let's find an empowering word.
It's a leg of a tripod.
Leg of a stool. It's one of the.
I don't know. Well, I mean, this comes into the whole conversation about, is ADHD a disability or not, and is disability a bad thing in the first instance? Therefore, crutches make life accessible for people.
Okay,
so we're going sort of full circle here into conversations that we've had before, but it is a very broad spectrum. Some people, I'm not going to say it. Oh my God, I don't think we've got through a single episode without ever saying we hate the phrase ADHD is a superpower because it's so one-dimensional.
But it is technically, so ADHD is classified on the person of determination application checklist. So it is on there. However, and I was going through the process purely out of curiosity. My ADHD wouldn't qualify. So I just found that fascinating. So it's like, well, because I can function with it, or like what does that look like?
Low support needs is what they would say.
Yes,
and that's the phrase that they're embodying in the autistic community as well. They're moving away from the Asperger's and going to low support needs, and I think that's probably where you're at. If you're able to hold down a job, and it's the same with a lot of mental health issues as well, right? You're like, you're high functioning now, so like you're not a problem to society. Like you crack on and just keep that struggle internal, and you'll be. It'll be fine.
Wow. So it's a very grey.
It is, because we don't need our own aisle at the supermarket, right? No. I think this is where we come to like everything's a spectrum, and there's some people who will be crippled in certain scenarios where others might thrive. But that's the beauty of diversity.
Yeah, and I think one of the lessons for me through all of this has been identifying this hyperactive nature that I've got as being. Well, it's weird because you'll notice I use the word label and not diagnose. Mm-hmm. That was one thing I think language matters. So I love that you called us out about.
Do you think that's also because you come from a slightly medical background as well?
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Perhaps. Yeah, I'll take it. But you know what? Yes. And my challenge with the healthcare as a whole is that, health is seen as a problem to be solved as opposed to
something
to live with. Being.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's about seeing kind of this experience as being not a problem to be solved, but as a thing to excel in and to thrive in and to grow in. And that's what the so-called label gave me. It gave me an understanding of something that I've always known, that everybody around me always knew. They're like, duh. There was no surprises. I did seek some validation. I spoke to some people about it, and they were just looking at me and like, Hibo, their words were, Hibo, this is what's made you so special this whole time. This is why we love working with you. This is what's so important about how you move through the world. So you have a label for it.
I did say that earlier, and then I stopped myself, because when I was like, your ADHD makes you special, and then I was like, oh, I wish I hadn't said that, because you are special, and we'll never know how much of that is because your brain is, you're a fast brain woman, and who you are as a person, and it's like, where does that join? And I think that was part of my understanding of myself as I went through the diagnosis as well, like, what part of me is a commonality that is shared by other women with ADHD, and what is uniquely Lorna? And that line became very blurry.
Oh, that's
ending things on a deep note there.
Yeah, that's an intellectual one, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Any final words of wisdom that you would love to share with our fast-brained or potentially fast-brained audience?
You know what? I read this really good book called Self-Compassion by Kristen Neff. And I say it because I think that book, before all the fast brain stuff came up and the ADHD and all that stuff, that book gave me insight into something that I struggled with for a very long time, which is being kind to myself. So I think the only piece of advice, well, I've got lots of pieces of advice, but the closing piece of advice I have is about this journey to self-compassion. Because once you can, and I say this because I'm not there yet,
It's a
but
journey.
I'm working on it, is somehow through all of this, through all of the fidgeting and the noise in your head and the ooh, all the time.
Could start a sound effect studio. This is brilliant.
That somewhere in all of this, if you can somehow love yourself, and there's so many I'm using the word sound bites because the word escapes me now, but there's little moments from that book which just had me just stopping and just going, somehow find your way to self-compassion.
Okay, that sounds super inspiring. I'd love to get that, Reco.
Oh, it's so good. I wanted to add the meditation piece. I think meditation is a really important thing.
So you're a meditation coach?
Meditation. WTF.
Let me tell you about me and meditation, okay? People get really shocked when they hear that meditation's my jam. It started with a 2-minute timer that I failed every single time.
How would you put yourself through that?
So the meditation was like, I attended some workshop or some session, and somebody talked about stillness and taking time to think. And I was like, what? Time?
Boring.
It was I'd never even thought of it. I never thought about the fact that you can give yourself time to think.
I see. Maybe I've got the wrong definition, because I
Yeah.
see meditation as trying to clear your mind of thoughts.
So.
Oh, here we go. We're getting an education, Danny.
Yes.
I am.
Buckle up. So it was less about the thinking, it was more about the time. This idea that you have this space in your life, whatever it looks like. However, I mean, at that time I didn't know anything. I just attended this talk, and apparently people need time to think, which means a time when they're not doing anything. So I was like, what's that? So she, this woman talked about it, and I was like, all right, I'm going to set myself a 2-minute timer. Now, I do pray 5 times a day, so I was unknowingly habit stacking. So I thought, right, at the end of each prayer, which, confession, sometimes it's just, Assalamu alaikum, I'm done. But on the days, I would just set a timer next to my prayer mat and be like, right, I'll just set a 2-minute timer. I tried for a year. Could not get past the 2 minutes. I couldn't breathe, and I was just kind of fidgeting, and then my nose would itch, and blah, 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 blah. So then, fortunately, life sent me a teacher. So I'm probably over 10 years in, and it's been agonizingly slow.
Wow.
Agonizingly slow. Peak was going on the 10-day Vipassana. Now, I need to say something about people's reactions to me when I said that I did a 10-day...
10-day silent retreat? And then, I can imagine how that would feel.
And is that how you react?
Yeah.
Scowls.
How rude.
For the audience, I was just saying that to play
She
the
was-
role.
yeah. I was acting up a little bit. But we know
Awkward silence.
people who really loved me never said that. people who knew me and loved me knew that when I get this thing in my head, there's nothing that I can't do.
Oh, I love a good challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. But people that didn't know me, that knew the superficial, happy, bubbly, oh, Hibo's always on this high all the time, I'm going to be with her because I'm going to suck all of her energy, that version of Hibo, they were like, oh, you're not going to be able to sit still for 10 days. So the 10
People sort
day.
of see you as a caricature sometimes, I think. And
Oh,
that's such
beautiful.
one-dimensional
Beautiful.
view. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. So the Vipassana 10-day retreat was another peak in my journey. It's slow, it's progressive, and it's just building this muscle of being able to observe yourself. And once I learned to observe as I've learned to observe myself, I've learned to be able to observe what works and doesn't work, which has allowed me to introduce all of these things.
Oh, so just noticing more.
Self-awareness.
Yeah.
So now how do I meditate? I'm a naughty meditator. I meditate randomly and infrequently in lots of different ways.
That's that troublemaker, isn't it?
Yeah. But there's lots of different ways of meditating, but using meditation as a tool for self-awareness is my closing tip. I'm done.
Woohoo! It's a good one.
Thank you so much.
I like it. I've dabbled in a bit of meditation, but you've inspired me to bring it back into my life.
Bring it back.
Exactly. We don't need the outro for this episode. That was fantastic.
And we have a singer in the room. Well, thank you
Okay.
so much.
You're very welcome.
Amazing. So thank you for tuning in to today's episode. We will be back next week with another Fast Brain Woman. And if there's any topics that you'd like to see, please do let us know. Any people that you'd like to recommend, we are always open. And thanks for listening.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Before you dive back into the chaos, we've got a 5-minute relaxing end-all soundscape to help you reset, unwind, or just stare into space guilt-free. If you loved this episode, it would mean the absolute world to us and also ease our rejection sensitivity. If you hit subscribe, share it with a fast brain friend, or if you loved it, leave us a quick review. Take a breath, stay wild, and enjoy until the next episode of Fast Brain Women.